Two sparrows chirp on a gnarled, dead branch against a stark white background. It looks peaceful, but the jagged wood hints at the desolate world our story begins in. Deep in the foggy forest, a pair of deer stop for a quick drink at a quiet stream. Everything seems calm, but there is a heavy, eerie vibe hanging over the woods. The sun peeks through dark, heavy clouds as a strange streak of light cuts across the sky. Something big is happening far away, and the atmosphere is getting seriously intense. An old, crumbling pagoda sits atop a barren hill, surrounded by dead trees. This place looks totally abandoned, like a ghost town where time just stopped moving a long time ago. Beggars huddle in the ruins of a small forest town, whispering about haunted houses and certain death. It is a grim scene, with people just waiting for the end in the wreckage. Flies buzz around a dirty, bandaged hand, while an empty bowl sits nearby. It is a harsh reminder of how low our boy has fallen, living in total filth and misery. Jiang Wang lies motionless on the cold stone floor, while an old beggar watches over him. The old man tells him to let go of whatever is weighing his heart down. This guy stares blankly at the ceiling, thinking about how impossible revenge feels in his current state. He wonders if swallowing his bitterness is the only way to find any peace. His eyes sharpen with a sudden spark of rage. He might be broken and dying, but deep down, he refuses to accept this pathetic end after everything they did to him. He remembers the good old days when he and his brothers were a tight-knit crew. They swore to be brothers for life, but those memories only taste like poison now. This guy, Fang Pengju, was the one Jiang Wang trusted most. Behind that friendly smile and casual laugh, the dude was hiding a literal blade, just waiting for the right moment. Our boy relives the moment he fell for their trap. He collapsed on the floor while his so-called brothers stood over him, watching him die after drinking that poisoned wine. They didn't just poison him, they made sure he drank every last drop. The betrayal was total, leaving Jiang Wang to rot in the mud while they took everything he earned. Back in reality, the old beggar holds out a cracked bowl, trying to give him a bit of water. It is a small act of kindness in a world that has been cruel. Suddenly, the old man looks up, sensing a weird shift in the air. Something is definitely wrong, and his confused expression says it all as he stares at the gray sky. Even though it was just sunny, snow starts falling over the ruins. The old man is totally baffled by the sudden weather change, wondering why winter decided to show up early. Tiny, intricate snowflakes drift through the air, but they aren't normal. This isn't just a storm. It is the byproduct of high-level cultivators clashing with insane power somewhere close to the town. As the snow thickens, the beggar mutters about how restless the city has become. Strange things are happening everywhere, and Jiang Wang just lies there, barely clinging to his life. The old man reaches out, noticing that some of these snowflakes are actually glowing with a weird light. His curiosity is piqued, but he has no idea how dangerous this stuff is. The moment his finger touches the glowing flake, it is game over. This isn't soft snow, it is pure, freezing energy that starts spreading across his skin in a heartbeat. This is bad. Nearby, a small bird is instantly flash-frozen mid-chirp on its branch. The poor thing didn't even have time to fly away before the ice completely encased its tiny, fragile body. A deer tries to bolt through the woods, but the freezing aura is way too fast. It's turned into a literal ice statue mid-stride, looking like a creepy decoration in the forest. The old beggar is next. The ice crawls up his body with a crackling sound, trapping him in a frozen tomb. He can only stare in horror as the energy takes over. The old man is stuck. Frozen solid, his eyes are wide with terror as that icy energy takes over, turning him into nothing but a hollow, freezing shell. Then with a loud crack, the statue just shatters into a million tiny pieces. He's completely gone, leaving nothing behind but broken shards and the cold, quiet snow. Jiang Wang lies in the dirt, staring at a single glowing snowflake. He knows this beautiful thing is deadly. Just one touch of this pure Tao essence would kill him instantly. He closes his eyes, ready to give up. After 57 days of agony and betrayal, our boy decides to just let the freezing snow take him. He's totally done with life. Suddenly, a massive fireball tears through the gray sky, lighting up the ruins. The air is thick with tension as a high-level battle starts unfolding right above the dying town. An explosion rocks the hillside, nearly leveling the old pagoda. The sheer force of the impact shows just how insane the power levels are between these two mysterious cultivators clashing. Energy streaks across the horizon, while a violent whirlwind swallows the town. Everything is being ripped apart by the aftershocks of a fight that is way beyond anything normal people understand. A ball of intense flame streaks across the landscape, leaving a trail of destruction behind. The ground shakes as the two fighters trade blows that could easily level entire cities. Jiang Wang watches from the ground, sensing the incredible resonance of the Tao. Even at death's door, he can feel the raw, overwhelming power radiating from the epicenter of the battle. A blazing fireball erupts nearby, and our boy wonders just who the hell is causing this much chaos. The ruins are being scorched as a legendary figure finally makes a grand, epic entrance. Out of the smoke and fire, a man in a red cloak appears. Zuo Guanglie stands tall in the middle of a massive crater, looking like a total boss despite the destruction. From high above, we see Zuo Guanglie surrounded by swirling energy as the ground beneath him cracks. This guy is a literal force of nature, and he is clearly not happy. He glares upward, calling out his enemies for their mindless killing. Zuo Guanglie demands to know if they think slaughtering innocent people is part of their path to power. A voice mocks him from the clouds as Gong Yangbai floats into view. This guy does not seem to care at all about the lives he is destroying, laughing off his accusations. Gong Yangbai looks down with total arrogance, asking if Zuo Guanglie really cares about the ants on the ground. To him, normal people are just nothing compared to their grand power. The enemies weave their hands into complex seals, summoning a massive rain of ice swords. Thousands of sharp blades start falling from the sky, aimed directly at Zuo Guanglie's head. Zuo Guanglie doesn't even flinch, conjuring a sphere of pure fire to stonewall the icy assault. The collision between heat and cold sends steam and embers flying in every direction. He hurls the fireball into the sky, conjuring a massive, blazing sun of energy that dwarfs the entire battlefield. Zuo Guanglie is taking this fight to a whole new level of intensity. The attackers are completely shocked as their combined ice technique is vaporized in an instant. They realize that Zuo Guanglie's power is even crazier than the rumors said it was. Gong Yangbai takes a deep breath and exhales a blast of lethal frost. The temperature drops instantly as he tries to snuff out Zuo Guanglie's flames with a massive surge of cold. The frost and fire collide in a massive explosion of steam. It is a total stalemate as the two opposing elements battle for dominance, lighting up the sky with an eerie glow. Zuo Guanglie charges straight through the freezing fog, roaring Gong Yangbai's name with pure rage. With a burst of blazing fire power, he cleaves the ice orb conjured by his opponent in half. He is determined to end this fight right here, refusing to let a bit of frost slow him down. Close up on our legendary hero, his expression is fierce and hyper-focused. You can clearly see his vigilance as he senses a looming threat creeping in from the sky. A barrage of flying swords rains down from the heavens like a meteor shower. The scale of this attack is insane, and the ground is about to be absolutely pulverized once again. Even though he spotted them in time, they were just too fast. Zuo Guanglie is bombarded by the relentless swarm of flying swords, sending him crashing violently into the ground. A massive explosion of dust and debris swallows everything in its path, while the rain of blades continues to pour down without mercy. The dust settles, revealing Zuo Guanglie standing tall amidst a sea of swords. It is clear that he took a brutal hit, but our boy is still breathing and holding his ground, defiant against all odds. Mo Jingyu watches from the back of his mechanical bird, looking pretty impressed. Zuo actually survived the 9-yin formation, but this guy is already feeling way too confident. Mo Jingyu looks down with total confidence, nodding that the Qin nation was smart to hire his family. This guy clearly thinks the battle is already won for his side. Zuo Guanglie isn't having any of it, charging straight through the chaos while yelling Mo Jingyu's name. Our boy is absolutely determined to take this mechanical creep down once and for all. Gong Yangbai screams for his disciples to set up their secret formation, desperate to lock Zuo Guanglie down. He knows if they give him a single opening, they are all toast. From high above, we see the disciples surrounding our hero, trapping him within pillars of eerie blue light. It's a massive tactical trap designed to snuff out his intense flames. The disciples move in perfect sync, weaving complex hand seals to strengthen the formation. They are pouring all their energy into this one attack, hoping it's enough to finish the legendary genius. The veins on the disciples' necks glow with a strange, chilling energy as they gear up for their next move. The temperature around them plummets, turning their breath into a lethal cloud of frost. He mocks Zuo Guanglie, asking if he still thinks he is in control of the situation. With a wild look in his eyes, he officially activates the formation's full, terrifying power. Massive coils of green energy snakes whip through the air, slamming into the earth with terrifying speed. The ruins are completely swarmed by these mystical constructs, leaving Zuo Guanglie with absolutely no room to escape. These massive energy segments rapidly fuse together, forming a colossal green serpent that lunges forward with its jaws wide open, ready to devour everything in its path. This technique is as grotesque as it is powerful, and it is closing in fast. Zuo Guanglie stands his ground, fire sword in hand, as the snakes coil all around him. He's completely surrounded by cold energy, but he hasn't lost his fighting spirit just yet. The snakes are a total nightmare. If you cut one head off, two more grow back immediately. Zuo Guanglie realizes that even a single bite will flood his body with lethal, freezing energy. Gong Yangbai exhales a concentrated blast of frost, continuously buffing the icy serpents and aiming to freeze Zuo Guanglie's very soul. The sheer amount of cold energy radiating from this guy makes it clear that his cultivation base and the techniques he's unleashing are anything but ordinary. The blue snakes tighten their grip as Gong Yangbai unleashes his blood-freeze art. Zuo Guanglie is being swallowed by a massive pillar of ice, his fire finally starting to flicker out. With another icy breath, the temperature drops even further, turning the battlefield into a frozen wasteland. It looks like Zuo Guanglie's legendary fire might have finally met its match in this cold. Close up on our hero's face, his skin is turning pale and frost is starting to form on his brow. The freezing energy is invading his body, trying to stop his heart cold. Mo Jingyu watches from his mechanical bird, declaring Zuo Guanglie powerless against their secret arts. He's already calling the fight, convinced that their legendary opponent is finally finished for good. Zuo Guanglie is completely encased in a massive, jagged mountain of ice. Even the energy snakes are frozen in place, turning the entire scene into a silent, terrifying monument of death. The light pillars fade as the ice sculpture stands motionless in the ruins. It's a chilling sight, and it looks like the legendary Zuo Guanglie has been defeated by his enemies. Suddenly, a weird glow starts emanating from the center of the frozen mass. The ice begins to crack under a massive surge of internal pressure, and things are about to get wild. Gong Yangbai's smug expression vanishes instantly, replaced by a look of pure shock and sweat. He cannot believe what he is seeing. Zuo Guanglie should not be able to move at all. Boom! Zuo Guanglie erupts out of the ice in a massive explosion of fire. He is pushing his soul to the limit, turning his own boiling blood into a weapon of absolute destruction. Mo Jingyu panics, commanding his mechanical bird to launch a barrage of razor-sharp feathers. He is throwing everything he has at Zuo Guanglie, but his confidence is totally gone now. Zuo Guanglie doesn't even bother dodging, showing zero flinch as he goes for a head-on, brute-force clash. His hands whip through the air, conjuring a massive disc of fire and hurling it straight at Mo Jingyu. He looks like a literal demon of flame as he prepares his lethal counterattack. A massive heatwave vaporizes every incoming projectile in a heartbeat. Zuo Guanglie's searing fire beam completely incinerates Mo Jingyu's mechanical bird. That guy was lucky enough to ditch his ride and bail just in time, or he'd be a dead man walking right now. This guy gathers a concentrated ball of fire in his palm, ready to let it rip. The look in his eyes says it all. He's finishing this whole fight right now. The sky erupts into a series of massive fireballs as the battle reaches a fever pitch. Zuo Guanglie is finally showing the true extent of his terrifying power against his enemies. Mo Jingyu looks on in absolute horror as his secret formation is ripped to shreds. He cannot believe his legendary 9-yin trap was defeated so easily by pure, raw flame. Glowing fire petals drift down from the clouds like a beautiful but deadly rain. This is Zuo Guanglie's city-scorching blazing blossoms, a technique that is as legendary as the man himself. The enemy disciples look up, confused by the strange, glowing blossoms falling around them. They have no idea they are staring death in the face as the fire starts to descend. One arrogant disciple tries to catch a petal, mocking Zuo Guanglie's third-grade art. He tells his brothers to watch as he snuffs it out with just one hand like it is nothing. Big mistake, the petal explodes instantly, turning the disciple into a charred skeleton in a heartbeat. The sheer heat of Zuo Guanglie's fire is way beyond anything these guys ever expected. Gong Yangbai screams at his remaining men to use their water element arts immediately. He recognizes the technique and knows they will all be vaporized if they do not create a safe zone right now. The survivors scramble to summon streams of water, trying to block the relentless rain of fire. It's a desperate struggle to stay alive against an attack that is literally melting the sky. Mo Jingyu realizes that the crazy rumors about Zuo Guanglie destroying an entire city were actually true. Even at 19, our hero's power was already enough to level a whole civilization. He flings open the massive crate on his back, unleashing a swarm of mechanical birds into the smoke and fire in a desperate attempt to counter Zuo Guanglie's blazing blossoms. The sky is a total chaotic mess of metal and flame as the antagonists scramble just to stay alive. Viewed from a distance, the sky looks like an absolute war zone, streaked with the golden glow of mystical arts, the fiery orange of the flames, and the dark, jagged black of flying iron. Explosions are popping off everywhere, revealing the sheer, massive scale of this high-level cultivation battle. Fire and water energy clash violently in the clouds, creating a chaotic storm of steam and light. It's a miracle the ground below hasn't been completely leveled by the falling energy yet. Rain and ash start falling on the ruined rooftops of the town below. The environmental damage from just a few moments of fighting is already beyond what anyone could have imagined. Jiang Wang watches the insanity from the ground, his eyes wide with wonder and fear. He's never seen anything this powerful and wonders who these godlike beings fighting above him are. Zuo Guanglie calls upon the power of an ancient fire ancestor, manifesting an even more intense flame. His entire body glows as he prepares to end this fight once and for all. A massive, majestic fire dragon erupts from his energy, roaring as it sweeps across the battlefield. Zuo Guanglie commands the beast to burn everything in its path, showing no mercy now. The enemy disciples do not stand a chance, as the dragon incinerates them where they stand. They are turned into screaming silhouettes of flame before being erased from existence entirely by the heat. The fire dragon slams directly into Mo Jingyu's mechanical bird, causing a massive, blinding explosion. The metal structure stands no chance against the divine power Zuo Guanglie is currently channeling. Gong Yangbai and Mo Jingyu are sent flying by the explosion's aftershock, slamming into the earth with the impact of small meteors. The ground is turning into a scorched wasteland as the battle reaches its final, deadly stage. Scrambling to regain his footing after skidding across the cracked earth, Gong Yangbai spits out curses at his opponent. He is visibly shaken, his mind racing in shock as Zuo Guanglie actually manifests the true form of an ancient fire god. Mo Jingyu stares in horror as the mechanical apparatus on his back begins to melt. His confidence is shattered into a million pieces. He mumbles curses under his breath, realizing that his family's priceless, high-end technology is utterly useless against this legendary genius. He stands on the smoking wreckage, looking totally defeated as his feathers smolder in the ash. Mo Jingyu is finally understanding that he has picked a fight with someone way out of his league. Behind his mask, his eyes are wide with pure terror as he realizes there is nowhere left to hide. Zuo Guanglie is closing in, and the end is looking very near for Mo Jingyu. A foot-shaped pit of molten lava has turned the entire battlefield into a literal furnace. The technique summoned by Zuo Guanglie is so searingly hot that the very earth is liquefying under the sheer pressure of their terrifying power right now. Zuo Guanglie stands there covered in flames, looking like a total beast. He dares his enemies to step up, clearly done playing around and ready to end this for good. Zuo Guanglie manifests the true, terrifying form of the fire god Zhurong, his energy towering over the entire battlefield. He mocks his enemies, asking how they dare boast of their lineage before him. The massive fire god slams into the ground with a thunderous impact, dwarfing Gong Yangbai and Mo Jingyu below. The sheer weight of his presence is literally cracking the earth beneath his feet. Gong Yangbai tries to keep his composure, claiming his third breath technique of profound freeze can still resist Zuo Guanglie's overwhelming heat. He's clearly desperate as he forms more complex hand seals. He exhales a concentrated blast of freezing energy, but his face is pale and covered in sweat. It's becoming clear that even his most powerful ice arts are struggling against the fire god. The strain is too much, and Gong Yangbai starts coughing violently while clutching his throat. Mo Jingyu watches from the background, finally suggesting that it might be time for them to retreat. Zuo Guanglie, engulfed in massive flames, laments the inevitable defeat at River Valley. He says no ocean can wash away the national shame and personal hatred he feels in this moment. Tears of fire roll down Zuo Guanglie's glowing eyes as his soul burns with intense passion. The tragedy of his past and the weight of his duty are visibly tearing him apart. He laughs wildly, declaring that only he can take his own life and only Zhurong can burn his soul. He has completely surrendered himself to the destructive power of the fire god. He throws his head back, letting out a defiant roar as the flames surge even more violently. He dares anyone to step forward and take his head. But the words had barely left his mouth before karma struck instantly. A purple flash suddenly streaks across Zuo Guanglie's neck. A purple streak of light flashes through the smoke and flames, cleanly severing Zuo Guanglie's head. It falls to the ground, rolling several times, leaving every fighter on the field paralyzed in absolute shock. Gong Yangbai and Mo Jingyu freeze in their tracks as a chilling new presence steps onto the ruined battlefield. A colossal blast of purple energy erupts, slicing right through the heart of the battlefield. It's a completely different kind of power, far more concentrated and dense than anything ever seen before. Gong Yangbai and Mo Jingyu are forced to cover their ears, struggling to withstand the crushing pressure as their hair stands on end while the purple light rips through the dark sky. They look absolutely terrified in the face of this newcomer's arrival. A sword slides perfectly back into its scabbard with a sharp click. The precision and speed of the move suggest that the fight was decided in the blink of an eye. Mo Jingyu and Gong Yangbai look up in shock, recognizing the man floating high above the clouds. They whisper the name Li Yi, clearly familiar with this legendary figure's terrifying reputation. Li Yi, a high-ranking cultivator from the Jiang nation, lands calmly on the battlefield. He sighs and simply notes that the area has become far too noisy for his liking. Realizing the newcomer is on their side, Gong Yangbai prepares to interrogate Li Wai, demanding to know why he failed to follow the higher-ups' arrangements. But before the words could even fully leave his mouth, Li Wai spins around with a cold, murderous gaze. With a single, effortless movement, he makes both Mo Jingyu and Gong Yangbai's hearts skip a beat. They can feel the terrifying, soul-crushing gap in power between them. In a desperate bid to save his own skin, Gong Yangbai doesn't waste a single heartbeat as he rushes over to snatch up Zuo Guanglie's severed head. Without exchanging a single word, Gong Yangbai and Mo Jingyu both read the room and bolt from the battlefield instantly. The arrival of Lai Engia has completely rewritten the fate of every soul left in Ha Kok. In a desolate forest, Li Yi, a high-level god-tier cultivator in pristine white robes, calmly strides towards Zuo Guanglie's headless fire giant. Li Yi, a mysterious traveler with a red dot on his forehead, calmly holds a strange, dark artifact while observing the chaotic battlefield around him. The dark artifact speaks with a supernatural voice, declaring that the debt is finally settled as green light pulses from its monstrous, fanged mouth today. As soon as the words left his lips, the command medallion instantly exploded and vanished into thin air right in Li Yi's hand, marking the end of a mysterious pact. Li Yi stands there observing the headless embers of the legendary warrior in his fire giant form, as the raging flames continue to flare up, slowly incinerating every last remains of Zuo Guanglie. Li Yi watches the destruction through his fingers, his pink eyes reflecting the brilliant light of the collapsing fire giant in the dark distance today. He frames the dying giant within his hand, a cold observer of the legendary warrior's final moments amidst the dark and very star-filled sky tonight. He leans to one side, savoring every second of this moment. Then, as a final mock sign-off, a sarcastic boom escapes his lips. A massive explosion of fire and light rocks the sky, as the high-level battle reaches its violent and absolute conclusion over the silent ruins here. A cold, satisfied smirk plays on Liya's lips as he surveys the aftermath, clearly unimpressed by the legendary cultivators he just slaughtered so easily. A single beam of sunlight pierces through the thick, dark clouds, illuminating the desolate ruins where a broken young man lies forgotten in the cold. Jiang Wang, an emaciated young man in tattered red robes, gasps for air as he struggles to stay conscious amidst the ruins of the abandoned temple. Our boy clenches his teeth, desperately thinking that he's not ready to die, yet despite the poison and betrayal that destroyed his entire life recently. With his last bit of strength, Jiang Wang begins to crawl through the ruined gate of the town, determined to find a way to survive now. This guy leans against a crumbling pillar, looking absolutely wrecked. 57 days of agony have turned our boy into a shadow of his former self. His footsteps are heavy and uneven as he drags his broken body forward today, driven by a burning desire for revenge against his fourth brother. Jiang Wang collapses onto the cold ground, his face pressed against the dirt as he continues to push toward the center of the battlefield this morning. He hopes to find some scrap of treasure left behind by the powerful cultivators, something that could act as his final lifeline in this wasteland. Around him lie only the gruesome remains of the fallen, shattered metal and bone fragments, but he stubbornly refuses to give up his desperate search. The poor dude looks totally devastated. Everything has turned to ash, and it seems like his last chance for survival has just disappeared into the dark void. Suddenly, he spots something strange buried in the dirt. His trembling hands immediately reach for a cracked golden pill bottle. Jiang Wang's jaw drops as his eyes widen. He can't believe his luck. A pill bottle from a high-level cultivator is right there in front of him. He pulls out a coarse, crimson pill. This is the very Meridian Opening Pill he once shed blood and sweat to obtain, only to have it snatched away by the cold-blooded greed and betrayal of his own sworn brothers. He swallows the pill without hesitation, bracing for the impact. It's a massive gamble, but it's the only way to fix his broken meridians and claw his way back. A blinding golden energy surges through his body, flushing out the toxic poison. The real work is just starting, and the pain is about to get a whole lot worse. Gold light floods his spine as the pill's power tears through the blockages. The agonizing pain is a small price for the chance to reclaim everything he lost. His spirit separates, glowing with a divine light as ancient symbols swirl around him. The Meridian Opening Pill is doing its work, reshaping his very essence for greatness. Standing alone under a blood-red sky, Jiang Wang takes his first breath of renewed life. The poison is gone, replaced by a cold, sharp clarity he's never felt. Our boy's eyes burn with a new fire. He isn't just a survivor anymore. He's a weapon of vengeance, ready to make everyone who betrayed him pay dearly. Under the gaze of a massive, burning sun, he realizes that fate is a fickle thing. One moment he was a beggar, the next, a rising legend. Night falls over the ruined temple, but the air feels completely different now. The silence is no longer heavy with the stench of death, but with the ominous weight of a coming storm. A sudden, powerful impact jolts the ground nearby. In this desolate wasteland, ripples of vibrant life continue to spread, signaling the dawn of a new beginning. This guy looks down at his bandaged, tattered hands, still unable to believe he's alive. The struggle was real, but the result is nothing short of a miracle. Jiang Wang bows his head in a silent prayer for the fallen. He promises that their sacrifices won't be in vain as he prepares to leave this graveyard. Suddenly, from beneath the earth, golden embers drift up from the grave Jiang Wang just built, as if the departed souls have finally found their peace. The energy of the battlefield remains thick with raw, untapped potential. The golden embers gradually coalesce into a strangely glowing crescent moon. Something is calling to him, a power far beyond the mortal realm that he is only just beginning to touch. The young man reaches out to snatch it, but the light continues to radiate, seeping through the gaps of his fingers. Inside Jiang Wang's palm, it feels as if he is clutching the very secrets of the universe itself. His vision sharpens, eyes glowing a deep, intense red. Every detail of the world becomes clear as his newly awakened meridians flood his senses with raw, untapped power. Suddenly, the world vanishes, and he finds himself floating in a vast, starry void. Golden rings of light pulse beneath his feet, marking this mysterious, transcendental space. A blue, glowing figure appears before him, standing perfectly still. Jiang Wang tenses up, wondering if this is another enemy or a guide to his new destiny. The holographic guide stands in the center of a massive formation. Jiang Wang approaches cautiously, his mind racing to understand where he actually is right now. A bright yellow message flashes across his vision, warning him about insufficient feedback. It's like a game interface, but the stakes here are life and death itself. He looks up at a massive list of glowing seals and platforms. The scale of this place is overwhelming, filled with levels of power he can barely comprehend yet. A golden scroll manifests, listing various simulation and discussion platforms. It's clear that he's stumbled into a legendary training ground reserved for the absolute best of the best. The force of the realm begins to pull him forward toward the glowing figure. He can't resist the attraction, feeling himself being drawn deeper into this virtual world. Their forms overlap for a brief second as the guide begins the synchronization process. Jiang Wang's eyes widen in pure shock as the system takes control. The message welcomes him as the master of the Dongzhen Su blessed land. Our boy is totally lost, having no idea what kind of insane position he's inherited. Beams of blue light erupt from his head, connecting his mind to the vast starry network above. He's being uploaded into the ultimate cultivation database of the gods. A notification pops up explaining the Takesu illusory realm. It's a perfect simulation for training where everything feels real, but without the risk of actual physical harm. Talk about the ultimate sandbox. He discovers specialized platforms for refining techniques and sparring with elite masters. This is the ultimate tool to become unstoppable, but he'll need to earn his keep through the merit system. A prompt explains that merit is earned through combat. Defeating same-level opponents increases it, while losing reduces it. Challenging stronger foes grants extra bonuses for the bold. Jiang Wang stares in disbelief as beams of blue light surround him. The system explains how the 72 blessed lands produce merit points periodically based on their rank. His current location, Dongjingsu, is ranked 23rd among the blessed lands. This prime spot produces a massive 1,850 merit points every single month. A massive celestial dial appears above our boy, marking his new territory. However, a warning flashes across the void. A challenge for his position will come in 30 days. Failure means demotion. Jiang Wang sweats, realizing he only has a month to prepare for whatever powerful master tries to snatch this blessed land from his grasp. The scene shifts back to the dark ruins of the abandoned temple. A tattered academy sign hangs precariously as the wind howls through the empty, desolate streets. Jiang Wang looks back at the wreckage one last time. While the information from the illusory realm is overwhelming, he knows he needs time to explore its true secrets. He stares at the glowing crescent moon mark on his bandaged palm. Before he can master this new power, he must return to the academy for the inner court selection. This guy clenches his fist, eyes burning with a cold fury. He silently vows to avenge the humiliation he suffered before he can truly move forward with his life. The sun shines over the prosperous maple forest city in the Zhuang Kingdom. This bustling place is a stark contrast to the ruins Jiang Wang just left behind. A sign for the Finglin Taoist Academy hangs above the entrance. This is the place where our boy's journey as a disciple first began and where his betrayal started. Jiang Wang finally returns, carrying a massive wooden crate on his back. His appearance causes an immediate stir as shocked disciples shout that he's actually back from the dead. He steps onto the academy grounds with heavy, purposeful strides. The weight of the crate seems like nothing compared to the burning desire for justice in his heart right now. Crowds of disciples part as the young man walks through the courtyard. Everyone is whispering, unable to believe the beggar who disappeared 57 days ago has finally returned. With a powerful kick, Jiang Wang sends the heavy crate flying off his back. It slams into the stone floor, signaling his arrival and his refusal to be ignored anymore. A massive, bearded guy shouts for everyone to move aside. He charges through the crowd with a wide grin, clearly thrilled to see his supposedly dead brother standing there. Du Yubu, the sworn second brother, pulls Jiang Wang into a bone-crushing hug. He laughs loudly, exclaiming that everyone thought our boy was dead and gone for good. This big dude keeps laughing, complaining that Jiang Wang made his sworn brothers worry for nothing all this time. He seems genuinely happy, but his true nature remains hidden. Ling He, the sworn eldest brother, steps forward with a gentle, relieved smile. He's a calm, steady leader who is just happy to see his third brother alive and well. A short fellow, intentionally hunching his back to play the part, saunters over to scrutinize him, joking that our young man must have struck it rich and forgotten all about his brothers. Meanwhile, the second brother, Du Yaobu, gives Jiang Wang a playful pat on the shoulder, trying to lighten the atmosphere. That hunchbacked fellow is Zhao Rucheng. He leans in close, pointing mockingly at Jiang Wang's filthy, tattered clothes. This is the sworn fifth brother, a guy who's always playful and upbeat, even in the most dire situations. This guy laughs, asking if Jiang Wang only remembered his brothers after failing to make a living in the outside world. He seems to find the whole situation quite hilarious. Zhao Rucheng fans himself, calling Jiang Wang his dear third brother with a smirk. He looks quite fancy compared to the emaciated and dirty protagonist standing before him. Du Yubu grabs Jiang Wang, hyped to go out and drink the night away. The other guys keep bickering playfully, just thrilled to finally have their brother back in one piece. Jiang Wang doesn't even crack a smile, though. His cold expression makes Ling He uneasy, and he asks what's wrong as he realizes Jiang Wang is staring intensely at something nearby. Du Yubu and the others follow Jiang Wang's gaze, wondering what has him so distracted. They can feel the tension in the air, a sharp contrast to their feigned joy. The crowd parts as another group of disciples steps forward to greet the return of the prodigal son. Among them is a face that makes Jiang Wang's blood boil with rage. Fang Pengju, the sworn fourth brother, finally shows his face with a hollow, welcoming smile. He pretends to be sick with worry, but Jiang Wang sees right through the facade of that dignified mask. Our boy stares down the man who poisoned him, his eyes like ice. He asks if Fang Pengju truly wished for his return, cutting through the layers of deceit and false brotherhood. Fang Pengju stammers, desperately insisting there must be some massive misunderstanding between them. Jiang Wang slowly strips away the mask, exposing Fang Pengju's fake concern, revealing that he was the very one who condemned his own brother to a slow and agonizing death. The surrounding disciples whisper amongst themselves, sensing the hidden meaning in Jiang Wang's sharp words. Some still believe in Fang Pengju's righteousness, unaware of the serpent standing right before them. Ling He tries to play the peacemaker, suggesting they sit down and clarify the truth together. He promises that the brothers will stand by Jiang Wang if he has been truly wronged. Jiang Wang looks down at the heavy wooden crate he brought with him from the ruins. He acknowledges his bond with the eldest brother, but laments that some would betray it for greed. Fang Pengju's eyes narrow as he warns Jiang Wang not to make baseless accusations without any proof. He's confident that he's covered his tracks perfectly, but he couldn't be more wrong. This is proof. With a powerful shout, Jiang Wang smashes the wooden crate into 1,000,000 pieces. The sudden violence of his actions leaves everyone standing in the courtyard completely stunned. Du Yubu and the other disciples gasp as they see what was hidden inside the crate. The tension reaches a breaking point as a living, breathing piece of evidence is finally revealed. A gagged and bound man rolls out from the wreckage of the crate, trembling with absolute fear. Fang Pengju's face pales as he recognizes his family's personal servant, now totally exposed. The servant, Fang Deki, groans through his gag, his eyes wide with terror as he looks at his master. He knows his life is forfeit now that his dark secret is out. Jiang Wang recounts how this servant delivered a poisoned invitation to the moon-viewing tower. He explains the cruel trap that was set for him, using wine laced with a deadly toxin. Before the servant can say a word, Fang Pengju draws his sword and strikes him down. He screams about how the servant betrayed the family by colluding with bandits to harm him. The blade pierces the servant's throat, silencing him forever in a spray of blood. It's a desperate move to bury the truth before the whole academy finds out what happened. Fang Pengju stands over the corpse, breathing heavily as he tries to maintain his facade. He tells Jiang Wang not to believe the lies of a wretched slave who wanted to survive. Jiang Wang remains unmoved, revealing that he already has a signed confession from the dead servant. He asks if his brother would like to see the written proof of his orders. The two brothers stand back to back, a divide between them that can never be bridged again. Jiang Wang declares that this deep hatred can only be settled with a final, decisive death. Fang Pengju's hand trembles on his sword hilt as he realizes he's been completely cornered. The weight of his betrayal is finally catching up to him in front of everyone. In a final act of manipulation, Fang Pengju holds out his sword and begs Jiang Wang to kill him. He cries, apologizing for the servant's actions while still pretending to be innocent. The gathered disciples are moved by this display of supposed honor, urging Jiang Wang to stop. They still believe in Fang Pengju's character, blinded by his years of calculated, hollow deception. Jiang Wang looks at the bloody blade with pure disgust, refusing the offer with two cold words. He won't let his brother die a martyr's death through such a pathetic, faked sacrifice. The rest of the brothers are totally floored, watching their group fall apart right in front of them. Tension hits a breaking point as the two rivals finally square off for real. Jiang Wang draws his sword, telling Fang Pengju his blade is way too filthy for his liking. If he's going to finish this, he's doing it with his own hands. Fang Pengju's eyes widen in absolute terror as his carefully constructed lies crumble into dust. Realizing his life is on the line, the once arrogant fourth brother is reduced to a pathetic, trembling mess. In a flash of crimson light, Jiang Wang unleashes a devastating strike that leaves his sworn brothers utterly speechless. This sword stroke marks the end of his path as a mediocre academy disciple. Close-up of the eyes of those involved. A blade flashes through the air as the tension hits its peak. Everyone is watching, breath held, as the final moment approaches. Fang Pengju, struck by a sudden wave of panic, collapses to the ground and tries to crawl away as Jiang Wang sends his sword flying. A single killing blow would be far too easy for a lowlife like him. What Jiang Wang truly carves through is the hypocritical mask of righteousness that Fang Pengju has been hiding behind. Du Yubu and the other brothers can't believe their eyes. They knew Jiang Wang was serious, but this level of hatred is shocking. They are starting to realize there's no going back. Fang Pengju looks like he's seen a ghost. He tries to play the Brotherhood card, asking if Jiang Wang really doesn't care about their past. Talk about a pathetic last-ditch effort. Jiang Wang tells him to shut his mouth. Using the word brother after what he did is just insulting. He stands there like a reaper, ready to settle the score for good. Our boy looks at the traitor with cold resolve. He knows if he died that day, the story would have ended. But he's alive, and every single debt must be repaid. Fang Pengju is still trying to deflect, acting like he's the one being reasonable. He asks if Jiang Wang has victim delusions, even though he literally tried to kill him for a pill. This guy is so stubborn it's actually annoying. He claims he owes Jiang Wang nothing and refuses to admit his betrayal. At this point, talking is just a massive waste of time. Jiang Wang closes his eyes for a second, done with the excuses. He turns away, ready to make his move. He's finished arguing with a man who has no soul left. Taking a step forward and bowing deeply before the ancestral master's spiritual tablet, he makes a solemn vow. This hatred will not fade until justice is served. He offers up this battle as a formal judgment for the traitor's crimes. He stands alone before the massive statue, requesting a death duel of Tao judgment. It's a high-stakes move that catches everyone's attention. He's putting his life on the line for justice. The courtyard is packed as the news spreads. Everyone is gathering to witness a duel that only happens when someone has been pushed to the absolute edge. The air is thick with anticipation. Jiang Wang grips his sword, his expression harder than stone. By the laws of the Institute, Fang Pengju can't refuse this challenge. There's no running away from the consequences this time. Fang Pengju calls him a lunatic, but you can see the fear creeping into his eyes. He finally realizes that the guy he betrayed isn't the same person he used to know. Suddenly, the wind picks up and leaves start swirling everywhere. The crowd panics, wondering what's happening. Something big is coming, and the atmosphere in the courtyard shifts in an instant. Both fighters look up, sensing a massive presence descending upon them. The duel is being interrupted by someone with serious power. The real authority of the academy has finally arrived. A figure appears right out of the sun, floating down like a god. The sheer pressure coming off this person is enough to make anyone's legs shake. This is getting intense. Din Dong An lands with total grace, wearing a mask that makes him look even more intimidating. He's the head of the institute, and he's not here to just watch. Everyone immediately bows, greeting the Grandmaster with total respect. He acknowledges the request for a death duel of Dao judgment. The rules are about to be set in stone. Din Dong An looks on, his gaze piercing through the courtyard. He officially establishes the duel, making it a sanctioned event. One of them is not walking out of this alive. He begins to channel his energy, calling forth the Jade Cage. This is a high-level barrier that ensures nobody can interfere. Once it's up, the fighters are locked in their own world. With a simple command, he orders the barrier to rise. His power is on a completely different level compared to the students. You can practically feel the energy vibrating in the air. Massive vines and roots explode from the ground, tearing through the stone tiles. Fang Pengju scrambles back in shock as the courtyard is transformed into a literal cage of nature. These vines grow at an insane speed, twisting around to form a massive dome. It's a wild move that leaves everyone speechless. Seriously, this living prison is just about finished. The jade cage finally snaps shut, trapping our boy and his traitorous brother inside. It's officially a showdown. Now everything comes down to which one of them is the better fighter. Jiang Wang and Fang Pengju stand isolated within the massive jade cage. Outside, the crowd watches in silence, knowing only one of them will walk out alive from this sanctioned death duel. The sheer scale of the power of Din Dong An is on full display as the vines tower over the courtyard. Within this living prison, our boy prepares to finally settle. Fang Pengju starts sweating buckets, realizing he's truly trapped. He knows if the dean is watching, he can't just cheat his way out of this duel. Escape is now his only option. He frantically tries to flee, but in an instant, even more roots erupt from the ground. The environment itself is transforming into a weapon, forcing him to engage in this life-and-death confrontation. A sharp vine lunges toward his face, barely missing his eye. The pressure is mounting, and the crowd can see that Fang Pengju is already starting to lose his cool completely. This guy slowly begins to accept the harsh reality. He thought he could outsmart everyone, but Din Dong An's barrier is far more brutal than he ever imagined. Din Dong An doesn't waste any time, commanding them to draw their weapons. He's the law here, and he wants to see this grudge settled properly according to the ancient rules. Using his vines, Din Dong An hurls the sword back to Fang Pengju. The time for empty talk is over. It is finally time for these two former brothers to let the cold steel do the speaking. Fang Pengju grips his sword tight, his knuckles turning white. He's trying to hide his fear behind a mask of aggression, but anyone can see he's rattled by the high stakes. The Grandmaster gives the signal to begin. His voice rings out across the courtyard, officially starting the bloodiest lesson these students will ever witness. There is no turning back now. The audience is buzzing with excitement and dread. They can't believe two top-ranked students are actually going to kill each other. This isn't just a regular school sparring match anymore. Du Yubu looks absolutely stunned by the intensity of the scene. The brothers realize that the personal intervention of Din Dong An means there's no room for them to help anymore. Leaves swirl around the two fighters as they face off. Jiang Wang stands perfectly still, a stark contrast to the nervous energy radiating from the man who betrayed him so cruelly. Fang Pengju tries one last time to guilt-trip him, asking why things had to get this extreme. But our boy isn't listening to any more lies. He's here for vengeance. This creep shouts about his desire for power, trying to justify his betrayal. He's convinced himself that stabbing his brother in the back was just a necessary step for his growth. He lunges forward, sword raised high for a crushing blow. It's a desperate attack, fueled by the realization that he's cornered and has to fight his way out of this mess. Jiang Wang remains ice-cold, telling the traitor to shut up. He's done listening to the nonsense. Today, the only thing Fang Pengju is going to receive is a cold piece of steel. Fang Pengju whirls back after the first exchange, mocking Jiang Wang's composed expression. He loathes his opponent's calmness, even in the face of death. It drives him absolutely mad with rage. Suddenly, a massive surge of energy erupts from the traitor. He's tapping into the power he stole, showing everyone the results of the pill he took from his brother's hands. The brothers gasp as they realize what's happening. Fang Pengju actually managed to open his Tao meridians. The weight of his betrayal becomes even heavier now that the truth is out. This guy grins like a maniac, gloating about his new power. He thinks his superior energy will make him untouchable, laughing at the idea that Jiang Wang could ever hope to win. Jiang Wang takes a heavy step forward, the ground practically vibrating under his feet. He doesn't look intimidated by the show of force. In fact, he seems even more determined now. He begins to radiate his own terrifying aura, revealing the true cost of that pill. He survived absolute hell to get it, and he's not about to let it be stolen. Jiang Wang stares down the traitor, his eyes cold and mocking. He asks if that stolen pill was even worth it, showing off a level of power no one saw coming. Fang Pengju's jaw hits the floor. He thought he'd left our boy for dead, but seeing him back and stronger than ever is a total nightmare. Things are about to explode. The two clash in a blur of steel and sparks. Jiang Wang isn't holding back, matching every strike with cold precision. The crowd can barely keep up with the speed of their duel. Fang Pengju grits his teeth, feeling the weight of the sword of his rival. He thought the pill would make this easy, but Jiang Wang's resolve is on a whole different level. Scrambling back, this guy is losing his mind. He can't understand how someone he left for dead managed to open their meridians. The panic is finally starting to set in properly. Blood splatters as the fight gets grittier. Fang Pengju is sweating buckets, trying to find an opening, but our boy is like a wall of iron. There's nowhere left for him to run. The traitor tries to convince himself he still has the upper hand. He thinks if he just drags this out, the injuries of Jiang Wang will eventually catch up to him. They trade blow after blow in a dizzying sequence of strikes. Every clash sends shockwaves through the courtyard. It's clear that neither of them is planning on leaving this cage alive. Din Dong An watches the slaughter from his vantage point, looking completely unbothered. He knows the rules of the academy must be upheld, no matter how bloody the outcome might be. Du Yubu cheers on his third brother, while the other disciples watch in silence. They can tell that the Tao meridians of Jiang Wang are something completely out of the ordinary. The duel reaches a fever pitch as they dance across the massive roots. Every movement is a gamble with death, and the air is thick with the scent of blood and sweat. As Jiang Wang leaps into the air to deliver a crushing blow, Fang Pengju thinks he's finally spotted a fatal flaw in his opponent's technique. Seeing Jiang Wang's movement so exposed and his flank wide open, he prepares to launch a counterattack. The steel flashes just inches from the traitor's face. He thrusts his blade straight, aiming for Jiang Wang's exposed flank. A sudden, violent strike draws blood, painting the scene in a visceral red. What the other disciples witness is Fang Pengju's blade plunging straight into the protagonist's abdomen. Fang Pengju mocks him with a smug, triumphant grin. But it's all just a calculated bait, a classic move of sacrificing a pawn to capture the king, as Jiang Wang swings his blade directly toward Fang Pengju's arm. A sickening crunch echoes through the jade cage as a blade finds its mark. The sound of tearing flesh is unmistakable, and the tide of the battle shifts for good. The scream of Fang Pengju rings out as his defense is shattered. He looks at his mangled hand in total disbelief, realizing that his dreams of power are turning into a nightmare. Jiang Wang doesn't give him a second to breathe, lunging forward with eyes glowing a terrifying red. He looks like a demon possessed by the spirit of vengeance and absolute hatred. He delivers a brutal elbow strike directly to the traitor's chest, shattering his bones to finally shut that filthy mouth. Even though it was a simple physical strike, the force behind it was so immense that it sent Fang Pengju flying right off the dueling platform. The moment Fang Pengju is sent flying out of the arena, the vines from Din Dong An's everlasting entwinement technique instantly tighten. This battlefield only permits one to leave once the other is dead. These vines hurl him back into the center. The traitor lies broken among the roots, gasping for his final breaths. He looks up to see the figure of Jiang Wang approaching him like a judge ready to deliver the ultimate sentence. Jiang Wang grips the hilt and slowly withdraws the blade from his body, his face darkened by the shadow of the agony and psychological trauma of the past 2 months. He has waited for this exact moment through 57 days of unendurable suffering. Standing over his fallen enemy, his cold and painless expression is like a blade piercing through the heart of the one who stole his future. The execution is about to begin, and no one can stop it. Fang Pengju's eyes widen as he finally realizes the truth. Jiang Wang purposely showed a weakness just to lure him in. He's been outplayed on every single level by his rival. Jiang Wang lunges forward, ready to end this. He shouts that it's finally time for payback, his blade aimed right at the traitor who ruined everything. This is it. Fang Pengju completely breaks down, crying and begging for mercy he doesn't deserve. But Jiang Wang's expression is cold. He isn't about to let this guy off the hook now. Fang Pengju staggers back toward the edge of the arena. He looks like a cornered beast, realizing that his betrayal has finally come at the most brutal price. He turns around only to find there is no way back. Beneath him lies the edge of the abyss, waiting for his very soul. Desperate and broken, Fang Pengju wails for help. He tries to use his status as a descendant of the powerful Fang family to beg Din Dong An for a shred of mercy. Din Dong An remains stone-faced, his eyes cold and detached. He reminds the traitor that in a fight to the death, only the victor has the right to decide the loser's fate. Jiang Wang looms over his former brother, his sword glinting under the pale light. The air is thick with the scent of blood and the heavy weight of an impending final judgment. The traitor continues his pathetic display, begging for a chance to explain himself. He's shaking with fear, hoping that his third brother still has a small spark of compassion left inside. Our protagonist isn't moved by the tears. He looks down with a face as hard as stone, granting the man one last chance to speak before the end finally arrives for him. Fang Pengju screams about the pressure of his family and his father's hopes. He justifies his theft by claiming he had no choice if he wanted to reach the peak of cultivation. He cries about his sleepless nights and fakes a deep regret for his actions. He has the audacity to call Jiang Wang his brother, pleading for forgiveness just one single time. Jiang Wang doesn't say another word. He raises his blade high into the air, the cold steel reflecting the swirling leaves as he prepares to deliver the final strike of vengeance. The sword descends with a sickening thud, piercing through the chest of the traitor. Blood sprays across the stone as the life of Fang Pengju begins to fade away into nothingness. A close-up of the killing blow shows the grim reality of the duel. The man who stole his brother's future is now gasping his final breaths on the cold, hard ground. Jiang Wang stands over the body, his expression unreadable. He speaks of the 57 days of pure agony he endured, proving that some wounds can never be healed by simple words. With a final, chilling sentence, he tells his enemy to rest in peace. The debt has been paid in full, and the ghost of his past has finally been laid to rest. Suddenly, something changes within him. His eyes widen as a strange energy surges through his body. He can feel his Tao meridians becoming more agile and powerful than ever before. He finds himself in a spiritual void, questioning the nature of his true spirit. A glowing, golden line of energy twists and turns before his eyes, taking a familiar, humble shape. A small, glowing earthworm crawls across the face of Jiang Wang. It's a bizarre sight, but he realizes this modest creature is the true manifestation of his hidden Tao potential. He holds the tiny Tao spirit in his palm, realizing that it was this humble entity that stimulated his power during the heat of the battle. His journey is only beginning. Snapping back to reality, our hero looks stunned by the revelation. He has not only survived, but evolved into something much greater than anyone at the academy could have possibly predicted. Din Dong An steps forward, ending the spectacle. He commands Jiang Wang to follow him to the Jingxi while ordering the other stunned disciples to leave the scene of the execution. The brothers watch in silence as Jiang Wang walks away. Du Yubu, Ling He, and Zhao Rucheng are left to process the fact that their world has changed forever today. The scene shifts to a peaceful garden, far from the violence of the courtyard. But the conversation between the dean and his student is anything but calm and lighthearted. Inside the quiet hall, Dean Dong An questions the lack of public evidence. Jiang Wang admits that he knew the traitor would reveal the truth himself before facing his death. The dean scolds Jiang Wang for being reckless. He argues that the Dao court should have handled the traitor instead of letting a student take the law into his own hands. Our boy explains he was just desperate. With the selection only 2 days away, he couldn't let that traitor become the dean's disciple and become totally untouchable by the law. Dean Dong An asks about the pill Fang Pengju used and where Jiang Wang got his own. Our hero begins his explanation, starting with the events at Huenjin Temple. Jiang Wang describes finding a Meridian Opening Pill within the corpse of the fallen senior, Zuo Guanglie. The memory of that dark discovery hangs heavy in the air. He explains that the graves at the temple can serve as proof. Internally, he decides to keep the secret of the Taixu illusory realm hidden from even the dean. The dean is absolutely livid that a war was brazenly fought on Zhuang Nation territory. He slams his fist down, outraged by the shame such an act brings to their country. Jiang Wang swallows hard, the physical and emotional exhaustion of the day finally starting to catch up with him. He's said enough, and now he waits for the dean's final word. Dean Dong An softens his gaze slightly and tells the boy he can now officially call himself a disciple of the institution. With that, he dismisses him from the hall. Bowing deeply, Jiang Wang expresses his gratitude to his teacher. The weight of his past seems a little lighter now that he has finally achieved his goal of becoming a true disciple. As he steps out into the sunlight, a voice calls out to him. It's Zhao Rucheng running toward him with a look of concern and excitement on his face. Surprised to see his junior brother, Jiang Wang immediately asks where the other 2 senior brothers have gone. His face looks exhausted and worn out after the long days of hardship and the brutal duel. Zhao Rucheng explains that Ling He has gone to return the body of the traitor to the Fang family, while Du Yubu has completely vanished from the scene. Jiang Wang looks down sadly, knowing that his second brother is likely drinking away his sorrows. He understands the complicated feelings that come with the death of a former friend. Zhao Rucheng tries to lighten the mood, insisting that traitors deserve their fate. He invites Jiang Wang to the 3 Fragrances pavilion to relax and have some flower wine. Our protagonist politely declines the offer, stating that he is simply too exhausted to celebrate. All he wants now is to return to his dormitory and sleep for days. With a playful sigh, Zhao Rucheng opens his fan and prepares to head off to see Miss Maya Oyu alone. Jiang Wang walks away, appreciative of the good intentions of his friend. Standing before the massive doors of the chamber, Jiang Wang crushes a solitary autumn leaf beneath his feet. He has endured nearly 2 months of agony, and now the time has come to settle the score once and for all. He gazed ahead with a cold, distant look. In just a few months, his entire world had flipped upside down, turning a once promising disciple into a man seeking bloody retribution. The chamber doors swing wide open. His mind drifts back to a simpler time when he was just a child, innocent and small, standing at the threshold before his entire world came crashing down. The memories of his brothers filled his head. They were all together in the dorms, laughing and joking around like nothing could ever break their bond. It felt like a lifetime ago. Ling He smiled warmly, reminding the others to be gentle during their roughhousing. He was always the steady one, trying to keep their chaotic little group from actually hurting each other. The muscular Du Yehu laughed as he trapped Zhao Rucheng in a massive bear hug. The poor guy complained about the stench, but it was all just typical brotherhood nonsense back then. Even Fang Pengju seemed different then, grinning widely while polishing his blade by the fire. It's hard to believe this same dude would eventually stab his own brother in the back. Back in the present, a single tear rolled down Jiang Wang's face. He knew there was no turning back now. The bond was broken, and only one of them would survive today. He remembered the night a glowing immortal descended from the sky. The old man praised his nature and offered him a chance to cultivate, a dream every kid in this world shared. But he wasn't alone. Young Fang Pengju stood beside him as a blue spectral memory, both kids looking up in awe. They hoped to start their journey toward immortality together that night. Jiang Wang smiled, suggesting they could both go and train as a team. He was too kind-hearted to realize that the Path of Cultivation rarely had room for two people at once. The immortal's face remained stony and indifferent as he spoke. He dropped a bombshell, coldly stating he'd only accept one disciple, turning their lifelong friendship into a desperate, deadly competition. Before he could react, Fang Pengju's expression twisted with sudden malice. The boy lunged forward, shoving Jiang Wang off the cliff's edge while screaming for him to just go ahead and die. The world blurred as he plummeted into the dark depths below. A massive splash echoed through the silence, the cold water swallowing him whole as Fang Pengju watched from above. He sank deeper into the abyss, bubbles escaping his lips as his vision faded. It was his first real taste of betrayal, a cold lesson learned at the very bottom of the lake. The immortal's spectral face loomed over him, delivering a harsh truth. He explained that cultivation isn't just about talent. It's a brutal fight where only those with cruel hearts truly survive. Jiang Wang bolted upright in bed, a strangled cry escaping his throat. His eyes were wide with terror, the memories of that old nightmare still clinging to him like a shroud. He sat there trembling, clutching his head as sweat poured down his chest. He tried to steady his breathing, but the echoes of the immortal's words kept ringing in his ears. Stepping out onto the balcony, he looked up at the full moon. He slept way longer than intended, and a strange, heavy silence hung over the academy dorms that night. He spotted a junior brother standing alone in the courtyard and called out to him. He asked if anyone had seen Linghe, but the other student didn't move or respond. The figure slowly turned, and Jiang Wang's blood ran cold. The student's face was a blackened, rotting mess, his eyes vacant as he stared back with a terrifying, hollow expression. Suddenly, the student's head began to spin with a sickening crack. It rotated faster and faster, completely ignoring the limits of human bone and muscle while a dark aura flared up. With a final, violent snap, the head tore free from the neck and went flying. Jiang Wang recoiled in shock, his heart hammering against his ribs at the gruesome, impossible sight. The headless body just stood there swaying while the severed head rolled across the stone tiles. This was no prank. Something demonic was here, and it was just getting started. Jiang Wang dashed across the floor, screaming for everyone to run. The monsters were officially inside, and our boy knew he had to scramble for higher ground to survive this mess. The severed head of the student cackled, its red eyes bulging as it floated in the night air. It was a gruesome sight, teeth bared and tongue lolling out in a sickening display. In the depths of sheer terror, Jiang Wang stumbles, a stroke of luck, as the demonic head slams into the very spot he had just occupied. He is struggling to hold his ground, his body trembling under the crushing pressure of relentless movement. He gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his face as he realized the entire area was sealed off. There was no way back to his room. He was trapped out here with a monster. The headless body lunged forward, the severed head floating above it like a morbid balloon. It let out a piercing, unnatural scream that echoed through the dark courtyard, chilling him to the bone. Trapped, our boy had no choice but to activate his origin Tao. A golden orb of light erupted from the circular chart in his mind, providing a desperately needed surge of spiritual power. Empowered by a sudden surge of strength, he flings himself forward, sweeping his leg in a powerful kick aimed straight at the head. He roars a challenge as the demonic head is sent hurtling back into its corpse with devastating force. But the counterattack came at a price. Jiang Wang gasped in pain as a bloody hole appeared in his foot, the injury throbbing with a dark, stinging sensation that made him stumble. He dropped into a low crouch, clutching his wounded ankle while his eyes darted around for the next threat. His breath came in ragged gasps, his vision blurred by the sudden agony. Things got even creepier when the monster ripped its own chest open. A skeletal face grinned from within its ribcage, mocking him for thinking an outer courtyard disciple could actually win this. The severed head cackled again, its black-clawed fingers digging into its own rotting skin. It spoke of how delicious the flesh of a cultivator would be, making his stomach churn with disgust. Staring at the monster from a distance, Jiang Wang knew he was completely outmatched. He couldn't win this fight alone. The gap in their strength was just too wide for him to overcome. He turned and sprinted through the dark alleys, his heart hammering against his ribs. He had to reach the inner courtyard and warn the others before more students ended up dead tonight. He slammed into an invisible wall, his hands pressing against the glowing green barrier. The seal was solid, trapping him within the dormitory area as the monster slowly closed in from behind. Gritting his teeth, he consumes the very last drop of Tao essence. He is utterly spent. Without it, there isn't a shred of hope left. He stares fixedly at his trembling hands, wondering if he still possesses the strength to make a breakthrough and claw his way back from the brink of death. Taking a desperate gamble, he poured every last bit of energy into one final strike. The barrier shattered like glass, blue shards flying everywhere as he forced his way through the seal. He performs a series of rapid-fire flips. He is pushing himself to the absolute limit, his muscles screaming for him to stop. He skidded to a halt, looking up in shock as a calm voice rang out from the darkness. Someone had been watching his struggle, and they didn't seem particularly impressed by it. Li Jiangqiu, a high-ranking inner courtyard student, stood atop a jagged rock. He looked down with an indifferent gaze, his long hair fluttering as he commented on our boy's desperate escape. Right then, the dean appeared. Dean Dong-an stood tall, his gray beard and gold crown gleaming in the moonlight as he prepared to handle the situation personally with his overwhelming power. Jiang Wang collapsed to his knees, quickly informing the dean about the corpse-controlling demon. He pointed back toward the dorms, his voice shaking as he explained that a student was already dead. The dean didn't waste any time, pointing his finger toward the ground. Dozens of glowing green petals began to swirl around, infused with a powerful energy that felt both ancient and incredibly sharp. A green vine shot forward, piercing the bloody wound on Jiang Wang's foot. He gasped as the poison sting swallow technique went to work, its energy surging through his veins like wildfire. He gritted his teeth against the pain, sweat pouring down his chin as a green pod emerged from the wound. It sucked the dark corpse poison right out of his system instantly. Jiang Wang let out a shaky breath as the sharp pain in his foot finally started to fade. He looked up, pale but relieved the poison was out of his system. Dean Dong-an spotted a dark figure leaping across the night sky. This guy wasn't about to let the monster escape after it just killed his students in cold blood. Dean Dong-an didn't hold back, instantly unleashing his jade cage technique to seal off the area. The ground erupted with massive, gnarled roots that sought to crush everything in their path. Giant vines coiled around the academy buildings like prehistoric snakes, glowing faintly under the moonlight. The once peaceful dorms had turned into a literal jungle of death within seconds. The white bone envoy completely lost it, realizing he'd massively screwed up by alerting a powerhouse like Dong-an. He scrambled backwards, his skeletal face twisted in a look of pure panic. Knowing they were outmatched, the monsters decided to split up and flee. They lunged in opposite directions, hoping at least one of them could escape the dean's overwhelming spiritual pressure. This skeletal creep scurried across the rooftops like a cockroach, his eyes darting around for a way out. He knew that if the dean made a move, he'd be finished instantly. Behind him, the vines converge into a massive sphere of gnarled wood and jagged energy. It twists and coils with lethal precision, utterly crushing the recaptured, headless corpse. The envoy managed to scramble further away, already planning his next move. He'd seen enough to report back that Jiang Wang was just a normal priest who happened to open his meridians. He casts one final glance back at the academy, his hand raised high, a silent farewell to the walls that once held his life. In a sudden strike, vines erupt violently from the earth, slamming directly into his face. The horrific impact sends a tremor through the very grounds of the academy, a grim signal that the dean is far from finished with him. It turns out the very gate of the academy is a summoned beast of the dean. It awakens, hovering midair as two massive wooden arms sprout from its frame, intercepting anyone who dares to pass. The skeletal head was sent spinning from a direct hit, dark fluid spraying into the air. He couldn't believe he was still within range of the dean's terrifying reach even after running. In a desperate final attempt to escape, the messenger tries to leap in another direction. But out of nowhere, a carnivorous flower lunges forward, snapping him up as he freezes in utter shock. That's it. It's over. Dean Dong-an stood atop a massive vine, looking like a total boss as he commanded the area. He mocked the insignificant underling for thinking they could act wildly in his territory. The night sky was dominated by the sight of the Dean's giant wooden constructs. It was a clear message to any dark sect: if you come here to cause trouble, you'll regret it. The Dean loomed over the trapped creature, demanding to know who sent it. The monster just laughed nervously, begging for mercy while clearly hiding a much darker secret behind its teeth. The skeletal head grinned wickedly, its bulging eyes staring back at the Dean with zero remorse. He claimed he'd only spill his secrets once they both reached the netherworld together. Realizing the man intended to take everyone down with him, the Dean, with a simple flick of his finger, commanded the monstrous flower to snap shut. The creature fell silent instantly, its dark energy extinguished by his superior cultivation and absolute control. Dean Dong-an stood tall, fuming that a prodigy like Jiang Wang was almost killed on his watch. He wasn't about to let this slide. Someone was going to pay for this invasion. He ordered his student, Li Jiankyu, to wrap things up while he headed to the city lord's mansion for answers. He needed to know how these monsters breached the city's defenses. Down below, Jiang Wang watched in awe as the Dean handled the situation. He realized just how massive the gap was between himself and a true fifth-grade powerhouse of the nation. Suddenly, Zhao Rucheng appeared out of nowhere and grabbed his shoulder. The guy looked worried sick, asking why his third brother was back and if he'd seen the others yet. Instead of being serious, Zhao Rucheng immediately started bawling like a baby. He complained that he'd waited at the Three Fragrance Tower all day and never even saw Miss Maya Oyu once. This guy wouldn't stop crying, practically leaning his entire weight on Jiang Wang while he ranted. Jiang Wang just sighed, asking if he'd seen where their older brothers had gone off to. Walking through the courtyard, the guys overheard some grim rumors. Turns out the monster attack wasn't just a scare. At least one disciple didn't make it out of the chaos alive. They headed for the riverbank as the weight of the situation finally sank in. Jiang Wang figured the others were waiting there, still reeling from the shock of Fang Pengju's betrayal. The three brothers gathered at the Green Willow riverbank, standing beneath a weeping willow as the moon hung high. Ling He sighed, admitting that things had turned out exactly as he'd expected. He turned to face Zhao Rucheng and Jiang Wang, his eyes full of a heavy sadness. Even the boisterous Du Yubu stood silent in the background, the weight of the night pressing down on them. Ling He looked out over the dark water, musing on how the only constant in the world was change. This was where they used to practice their swordplay, never imagining it would become a burial ground. There, amidst the rocks and dirt, stood a simple tombstone. It bore the name of Fang Pengju, the brother who had betrayed them and paid for it with his life earlier that night. Ling He explained that he couldn't let Pengju's body rot in the wilderness because of the help he'd once received. He asked Jiang Wang if he was angry, but our boy just shook his head. They lit a fire to burn spirit money, the orange flames flickering against the cold night air. It was a final farewell to a friendship that had been shattered by greed and blood. Jiang Wang looked at the grave with a cold, clear gaze. He told Ling He that while he wouldn't interfere with his elder brother's feelings, his own ties with Pengju were officially severed forever. Ling He nodded slowly, accepting the truth of the situation. There was no going back to the way things were before the betrayal, and they all had to live with the consequences now. As they walked away from the grave and under the stone bridge, Ling He spoke about the fear that comes with change. The future felt uncertain and dangerous after everything they'd witnessed tonight. Trying to lighten the mood, Zhao Rucheng started pestering Du Yubu. He leaned in close, his fan in hand, begging the big guy to let him see his face under the moonlight. Rucheng burst out laughing, mocking Du Yubu for crying like a little baby over their fallen brother. The big man's face turned red with rage, calling the younger boy a stinky brat. Du Yubu didn't hold back, launching a kick that sent Rucheng scrambling across the muddy bank. The boy screamed for his other brothers to save him as he was chased through the water. Ling He watched them with a faint smile, nodding that people should be allowed to change as they wished. He compared it to a gentle breeze brushing over a mountain ridge, natural and unstoppable. He looked back at Jiang Wang, reminding him that as long as they stayed true to their own hearts, they could face whatever the future held. It was a lesson in resilience and character. Jiang Wang took those words to heart, his expression softening as he thought about what it meant to have an unwavering, pure heart. It was a goal he intended to strive for. They continued their walk by the river, their footsteps light on the damp earth. The sound of the flowing water was the only thing breaking the silence as they found their peace. The brothers spent the rest of the night playfully fighting in the river, their laughter echoing under the full moon. For a brief moment, the pain of the betrayal was pushed aside. Far away from the academy, the moon shone over a ruined gate that looked like it had been abandoned for centuries. A low, haunting wind whistled through the crumbling stone pillars. Inside the shadows of the ruins, thick cobwebs covered the old wooden beams. A single, pale hand rested on a table, the long nails glinting in the faint light filtering through the roof. A beautiful woman in a flowing red robe sat perched on the edge of the table. She seemed perfectly at home in the decay, her presence bringing a chilling elegance to the ruins. Outside the gate, a raspy voice called out, breaking the silence of the wasteland. Someone else had arrived at this secret meeting spot, and they didn't seem happy about the location. The white bone envoy stepped into the light, covering his mouth with a blood-stained handkerchief. He looked around the dusty ruins with clear disdain, his skeletal jaw tightening as he spoke. This skeletal scout of the white bone Dao coughed incessantly, complaining about how filthy and disgusting the hideout was. He clearly preferred much cleaner environments for his dark dealings. The woman in red just smirked, her fingers tracing her own lips as she retorted. She noted that since the Zhuang nation had searched this place 10 times, it was actually quite safe. The white bone saintess stood up, her long black hair cascading down her back. She could still sense the majestic aura of Zuo Guanglie, the legendary genius who had died in this very spot. The white bone envoy mentions they have business to settle with City Lord Wei Kuji and Master Dong Ah. They need to find the child of Dao as soon as possible before things get risky. The saintess Maioyu suggests that instead of hunting mortals, it would be much faster to just capture a few cultivators for the sacrifice. Maioyu warns the envoy to keep a low profile. If they mess this up before the child of Dao appears, the white bone Dao's entire plan will be ruined. Standing amidst the ruins of a temple, Maioyu notes that this place was just a decoy. The elders already have the real plan in motion. She looks back, mentioning she caught a familiar scent at that ruined Taoist temple in Maplewood City. The skeletal envoy doesn't care about the lives of beggars. He's only focused on the mission. As he vanished into the ground, the envoy warned Maioyu not to be arrogant. He told her not to think that just because she was chosen as the woman of the child of Dao, she had the right to act recklessly. But she was fully aware of that fact. She wondered to herself whether the child of Dao would even recognize her after all these years of weary waiting. Meanwhile, at the academy, Master Song Kifeng is giving a lecture on the profound nature of the Dao. The students are listening intently as the master explains how the Dao precedes even the emperor. Of course, not everyone is focused. One student is busy pranking a classmate who fell asleep during the lecture. Master Song explains that true cultivation only begins when you can channel energy to create Dao essence. The spine, known as the Tangshan Palace, is the key to it all. A diagram of the spine glows, showing the path to the gate of heaven. Song asks if any disciple can name the 9 ranks of cultivation. Like a model student, Ling He raised his hand and confidently listed them all with perfect accuracy, from the 9th rank Wandering Veins to the 1st rank Yandao Realm. Song is impressed. He explains that reaching the 9th rank is the first step of transcendence, marked by establishing a Dao spiral. He brings out a scroll for the Giyuan array, the foundational diagram they all need to master. To make the spiral emerge, a cultivator has to arrange 81 formation points within their Tangshan Palace. Meanwhile, Jiang Wang's 2 sworn brothers continue to mess around with each other. Zhang Linchuan watches the scene unfold, but says nothing. Master Song explains that an average person can only channel energy twice a day, obtaining just 2 Dao essences. While still speaking, Master Song unleashed 2 powerful palm strikes directly at the mischievous pair, sending Jiang Wang's 2 brothers tumbling to the ground. As the 2 of them obediently returned to their seats, Master Song continued. If a person works diligently every day, it will still take at least 41 days just to lay the foundation for the array. Advancing to the 8th rank requires building 3 Dao spirals to complete a minor cycle. By rank 7, 9 Dao spirals are needed to see the gate of heaven. This is the Tongshan realm. A diagram shows the steep requirements for each rank. It's a massive amount of work just to reach the middle tiers. Jiang Wang listens in silence, clearly doing the math on how long his own journey will take. After doing the math, Jiang Wang felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. At a rate of only 2 Dao essences a day, the 7th rank felt like a distant dream, a lifetime away. Linghe explains to his friend that talent and fate can speed things up, so the math isn't always that simple. Thanks to Linghe's hint, the truth finally dawned on Jiang Wang. While Master Dong was hailed as a genius for hitting the 5th rank before 60, legends like Zuo Guanglie were on a whole different, terrifying level. Jiang Wang looks at the images of those top-tier cultivators, wondering if he can ever hope to surpass them. Master Song concludes the lesson and assigns some homework, telling them to review the basics. Jiang Wang considers the tiers of Dao techniques, from the basic C rank up to the top. Immediately, he was mocked by his younger brother, Zhao Rucheng, who joked that beyond the A rank, there are other levels that are far more superior. Song mentions that anyone who masters a superior rank technique would have the power to destroy a small country alone. The mention of such overwhelming power has every student in the room listening with rapt attention. He tells them to encourage each other and bring glory to the nation before finally dismissing the class. As the students start to leave, the hall begins to empty out. Jiang Wang is walking out when someone calls his name, asking him to stay for a moment. It's Fang Helling. He introduces himself as the son of the Fang family patriarch and claims he's there to apologize for Fang Pengju's betrayal. He says their family has already removed the traitor from their tree, wanting to distance himself from the scandal. Jiang Wang doesn't seem interested in the olive branch. He just tells Helling that everything is in the past and moves on. Helling is stunned that he was brushed off so easily. He calls out again, clearly annoyed that Jiang Wang is in such a hurry to leave him behind. Fang Helling keeps on bragging, mentioning his father bought him an expensive Meridian Opening Pill. He suggests that since they're the only ones in the inner courtyard whose Dao meridians have appeared, they should probably stick together. Jiang Wang doesn't even look at him. He just walks right past, bumping Helling's shoulder and telling him flat out that he's not interested. Helling is absolutely fuming. He clenches his fist, shocked that a talentless beggar like Jiang Wang would have the nerve to ignore him. The scene shifts to a quiet night as the full moon hangs high in the sky. While most people are sleeping, Jiang Wang's sworn brothers, Du Yubu and Linghe, are pushing themselves to the limit with their breathing exercises. Jiang Wang watches them from the shadows, feeling the pressure. He knows he can't fall behind if he wants to keep up with his talented brothers. He takes off his shirt and prepares for his own secret training. Today is July 15th, the day he's scheduled for a challenge in the Taixu illusory realm. He pulls out the crescent moon key, watching as it begins to glow in his palm. With a single thought, he activates the key and prepares to enter the challenge. He finds himself standing on a massive cosmic platform as the system welcomes the Lord of Dongjin Ruin's blessed land. A giant golden clock manifests in front of him, starting the countdown for his battle. Jiang Wang draws his sword, his eyes glowing red with focus. He has no idea what kind of opponent the realm is going to throw at him this time. Over the last month, he's completely absorbed the pill and started storing Dao essence in his meridians. He's ready to see how far he's come. The timer hits the final few seconds. Even if he doesn't win, he's determined to at least last a round or two against his challenger. Suddenly, a message pops up saying, "Fighter FORFEITS." Jiang Wang just stands there, completely caught off guard. He realizes that since his opponent gave up, he gets to keep the blessed land without even having to fight for it. He's awarded 1850 points for the month, bringing his total to 3,700. It's the perfect chance to finally use the Dao simulation platform. He follows the mental prompts and prepares to place his hands on the glowing golden table to start the simulation. He places his hands on the surface, ready to sacrifice his hard-earned points to upgrade his techniques. He closes his eyes and focuses, reciting the techniques in his head as the platform prepares to consume his points. He starts with the Gyuan array, which costs him 1850 points. The platform begins the process of disassembling and restructuring his foundation. The simulation runs through thousands of possibilities in an instant, rearranging the points of his array. The simulation finishes, leaving him with exactly 1850 points in his balance. He successfully upgraded his foundation to the Jiaoshan star array, which is far more complex and powerful than before. He wonders if he should save the rest of his points, but he knows that in the world of cultivation, any weakness can be an invitation to disaster. He needs more power now. He selects defensive swordsmanship for another 1850 points. Hopping the platform can turn it into something legendary. He's curious to see what the system can do with a basic manual he bought at a local street stall. The platform lights up once again. A silhouette of a swordsman practicing new forms appears in the light. The manual transforms into something absolutely incredible, using up the rest of his points. A majestic, spectral face appears within the golden energy. The results are beyond his wildest expectations. He reaches out as the essence of the new technique flows directly into his mind. Scene change. With a sharp clang, the weapon in a student's hand was sent flying into the air. Fast forward to the next morning, Zhao Rucheng is whining after a brutal 20-game losing streak. He's dying to know the name of the new sword style Jiang Wang has been using to kick his butt. Jiang Wang explains that he acquired the technique by pure luck. It has 9 training forms and 5 attack forms, and it's already completely changed his understanding of the sword. The problem is, the manual didn't have a name. He asks Rucheng to use his supposed literary skills to come up with one. Rucheng thinks it over for a second and suggests something grand, like the almighty divine sword. Jiang Wang isn't feeling it and gives him a quick smack, telling him to take this seriously. Rucheng gets back to thinking. He notes the 9 training methods and the 5 killing methods, and that 95 is a supreme number. He finally decides on a name, Purple Chi from the East, calling it the ruler among all swords. Jiang Wang repeats the name, actually liking the way it sounds. It fits the technique perfectly. From that day on, the style is officially known as the Purple Chi from the East sword technique. Rucheng is so hyped up that he jumps right onto Jiang Wang's back, shouting "Third brother" with excitement. He begs Jiang Wang to teach him the new technique, but their playful bickering is interrupted by a cough from someone nearby. It's Uncle Deng, the Zhao family housekeeper. He's brought along Li Jiangqiu from the academy, who's come specifically to see Jiang Wang. Jiang Wang and Li Jiangqiu walk together toward the main hall. Jiang Wang thanks his senior for delivering the message, but wonders aloud what Master Dong could possibly want with him. Li Jiangqiu tells him to stop being so formal, as he's not from a prestigious family either. He isn't sure of the exact reason for the summons, but he suspects it's related to the demon attack on the outer courtyard. As they approach the building, Li Jiangqiu notes that everyone else has already arrived. Jiang Wang wonders if the master found something important at the city lord's mansion. Inside, they find Fang Helling and Zhang Linquan waiting. Helling immediately throws a sarcastic comment their way, mocking the fact that Li Jiangqiu went all that way just to fetch Jiang Wang. Helling continues to complain, accusing Jiang Wang of making everyone wait. Jiang Wang ignores the insults and respectfully greets Zhang Linquan. Zhang Linquan, a 5th-year student in the inner court, tells them everything is fine. He advises everyone to wait quietly since Master Dong is still in the middle of his morning meditation. The 4 disciples stand in silence in the courtyard, waiting for their master to appear. The quiet is broken by the sound of the hall doors opening. Master Dong steps out, his stern gaze immediately silencing them. He mentions the demon attack and notes that the city lord's investigation has failed to produce any results so far. He declares that the academy will handle its own business. He is sending them to investigate the matter themselves, with rewards based on an 8th grade mission standard. Fang Helling is stunned by the high reward points. Master Dong explains that because Jiang Wang and Helling are the only ones whose meridians have awakened, they must be properly tempered through this mission. He lays out the plan. Linquan and Jiangqiu will each lead a junior disciple and investigate separately, with a mission reward of 19 points on the line. Master Dong adds a catch. Whichever side finds the culprit first will claim 90% of the final prize. The disciples bow in unison, accepting their master's orders with deep respect. Li Jiangqiu mentions he has sources in the investigation division and points out two crucial clues regarding the demon's movements. Zhang Linquan listens to the clues, one involving an inn and another a murder in a nearby town, and asks the juniors if they have any preferences for the team formations. Fang Heling tries to manipulate the situation, suggesting that since the intelligence came from senior brother Zhang, he should decide the teams. He makes a show of mentioning how close their families are. Jiang Wang remains indifferent and simply agrees to let senior brother Zhang handle the assignments. Heling is annoyed by Jiang Wang's passive attitude, mocking him for just following whatever everyone else says without having his own opinion. Zhang Linquan makes his decision. They set off tomorrow. Li Jiangqiu will investigate the inn, while Zhang will take Jiang Wang with him to Tangsh Town. Fang Heling is left standing there in total shock. His attempt to butter up Zhang Linquan completely backfired, and now he's stuck working with the intimidating Li Jiangqiu. A lone raven caws as it flies over the stone marker for Tangsh Town. Two riders gallop through the mud, passing by a human skull half buried in the path. An old woman watches from the shadows of her home as the horses thunder past. Jiang Wang and Zhang Linquan ride into the silent village, noticing how empty the streets are. Zhang Linquan smiles, nodding that his junior brother clearly did his research before coming here. Jiang Wang acknowledges the compliment, but his focus stays on the senior who is ranked among the academy elite. They pull up their horses as they are met by a local official waiting in the fog. The man introduces himself as Tang Dun, a constable desperate for the young hero's help. The official leads them through the village, cursing the bastards who ruined this once peaceful place. They stop at a door sealed shut with a heavy lock and a yellow talisman. Zhang Linquan doesn't hesitate and gives the order to open it up. Tang Dun throws the doors open, revealing the dark interior of the house. Zhang Linquan covers his nose, bracing himself for whatever is waiting inside. Skeletons of people and animals are scattered across the courtyard like discarded trash. In the dining room, a skeleton is still slumped over a bowl of porridge at the table. Jiang Wang is disturbed to see that the food hasn't even spoiled, yet the body is already bone. They decide to split up and search the house, with the senior telling him to shout if he finds anything. Jiang Wang pushes aside a curtain and steps into a back room alone. He finds himself in a child's bedroom, where toys and a rocking horse sit untouched. Another skeleton lies on the bed, looking like it was just playing before everything stopped. He picks up a crumpled drawing, showing a happy family that doesn't exist anymore. Suddenly, a sinister green light flares up within the empty sockets of a skull. Jiang Wang clenches his teeth, his grip tightening on the drawing as his anger boils over. The skeleton leaps from the bed with a screeching cry, reaching out for him. Jiang Wang strikes, shattering the pile of bones into 1,000 pieces with a single decisive kick. A mocking voice echoes through the room, taunting him for destroying what was left of the girl. He realizes he's trapped in an illusion by the unnamed demon cultivator and draws his sword. The demon continues to mock him, telling him he'll never leave this room alive. Jiang Wang stands his ground and tells the demon it is better if no one can get out. He prepares his new sword technique, focusing every ounce of his power into pure speed. His blade moves so fast it leaves deep, jagged gashes across the walls of the small room. Even without a clear target, Jiang Wang knows his sword is finding its mark. A magical diagram reveals the boundaries of the separation art that has been sealing him in. The demon is stunned that a mere student could break through a white bone sect technique. Jiang Wang doesn't give him a second to recover and swings his blade once more. A massive shockwave tears through the room, ending the illusion for good. Zhang Linquan peers through a hole in the wall, asking if everything is okay. Jiang Wang lets out a breath, explaining that a demon tried to trap him inside. He looks around the wreckage, still feeling the adrenaline from the encounter. The table is completely smashed, and the bones lie still once more. The senior mentions he had to blast away a few zombies that tried to ambush them outside. Jiang Wang sheathes his sword, frustrated that the demon managed to escape his blade. Zhang Linquan catches the final, solitary drop of blood remaining on Jiang Wang's blade. He explains that with this sample, the Academy's vice dean will be able to track down the demon cultivator easily. Satisfied with what they found, the senior leads the way out, figuring they have enough of an explanation for Master Dong. Once they are outside, Zhang Linquan asks why Jiang Wang seemed so unusually angry during the fight. Jiang Wang admits that seeing the girl reminded him of his own sister, and the thought of her being hurt made him lose control. With the job finished, they headed outside and received a small pouch of payment from the constable just as they were preparing to head back to the academy. Before riding off, Jiang Wang asks Constable Tang to give the family a proper burial so they can finally rest. They arrive at the stone marker for Tang's town. Jiang Wang and his senior ride down a path lined with protective yellow talismans. Zhang Linquan explains that maintaining these official roads takes a massive amount of investment from the court. He breaks down the difference between wild beasts and the much more dangerous ferocious beasts. While wild beasts can be used for medicine, these corrupted creatures are just mindless, worthless threats. Jiang Wang nods, taking the lesson to heart as they continue their journey. Then Zhang turns the conversation around, asking why monsters seem to be personally targeting Jiang Wang. Jiang Wang looks back, caught off guard by the sudden suspicion. Zhang points a finger crackling with blue lightning, demanding to know what secret he's hiding. Jiang Wang panics internally, wondering if he's talking about the void key. Before he can answer, a bolt of lightning intercepts an arrow flying straight for them. Jiang Wang stares at the smoking arrow tip on the ground. Before they could even process the sudden ambush, a chilling voice rang out from behind the trees, sentencing them to death. In a flash, Zhang Linquan leaped from his horse, streaking through the air like a bolt of lightning toward the source of the voice. Zhang tells Jiang Wang to split up and retreat while he handles the situation. But Jiang Wang draws his sword, looking ready for a fight. He recognizes that voice as the demon from the town earlier. He leaps through the trees, unleashing the first form of his sword art. The demon cultivator laughs, claiming Zhang is the only one he needs to worry about. Jiang Wang ignores the taunts and swings again with the second form, accuracy. The demon dodges easily, mocking him for not knowing any actual Dao techniques. He decides to show Jiang Wang a real technique, his arm beginning to glow with a sickly green light. The limb swells into a massive, bloated fist. Jiang Wang blocks the strike, but the demon's skin has become as hard as stone. The impact sends him skidding backward through the air. Jiang Wang counts his remaining options, realizing he's running low on essence. The demon leaps toward him, telling him it's too late for regrets. The massive green fist crashes down. Jiang Wang activates his stored Dao essence orbs all at once. He decides to gamble everything on a surprise counterattack. He uses the third form, Pierce, driving a column of purple energy straight through the demon's arm. The demon is shocked that his opponent had another trick hidden away. The residual force of the attack sent the demon cultivator crashing into the ground, kicking up a massive cloud of dust and smoke. Gasping for air and reeling from the blast, the cultist struggled to stay on his feet. He took a long, deep breath, preparing to unleash a brand new technique. Realizing he can't win a direct fight, the demon tries to escape. He exhales a cloud of rotting corpse poison mist. The forest is quickly covered in thick green fog. Mushrooms and plants wither instantly as the mist spreads. The demon hides in the fog, waiting for a chance to kill Jiang Wang. Suddenly, a purple light pierces right through the poison. Jiang Wang stands with his sword raised for the fourth form, concentration. His face is set in a mask of pure focus. Jiang Wang unleashed a rapid-fire succession of Dao essence from within his body, putting everything he had into this final, all-out strike. Jiang Wang unleashes the final form of his sword art, focusing all his intent into one strike. The demon cultivator is frozen in shock, unable to believe a low-rank student has this much power. A massive purple energy blade slices through the air, tearing apart everything in its path. The demon is cut down instantly, his body splitting under the force of the blow. He falls to the ground, dead before he even hits the dirt. Jiang Wang stood tall and majestic, even as the sword in his hand shattered into pieces. But the effort takes its toll, and he drops to his knees, gasping for air. He realizes his current cultivation level is barely enough to handle the strain of using all 5 killing forms. He looks up as something moves in the darkness behind a tree. 2 severed heads are tossed onto the ground in front of him. Zhang Linquan steps out, surprised that his junior was able to take down an 8th-rank demon single-handedly. Zhang checks on the area, noting that there's nothing left of the enemy. Zhang wipes the blood from his hands, still marveling at Jiang Wang's swordsmanship. Jiang Wang asks if they can get any information from the corpses left behind. Zhang shakes his head, explaining that he already tried to search the souls of the ones he killed. He says these cultists have soul-shattering curses engraved in their minds to prevent interrogation. Zhang wants to get him to a clinic, but Jiang Wang insists on reporting to the academy first. Zhang agrees, adding that the damage to the official road formations needs to be reported to the authorities. That night, the lights of the city glow under a crescent moon. In a high-end district, a man is busy entertaining a beautiful guest. This is Su Dong, a high-ranking official who is clearly infatuated with Maya Oyu. He promises her anything she wants, completely oblivious to her true nature. A masked subordinate interrupts to report on the failure at Tangsh Town. Maya Oyu looks out from the balcony, seemingly unbothered by the loss. She told her subordinates that there was no need to send any more secret reinforcements. She is more interested in the young Taoist who killed her people with that mysterious sword technique. The subordinate admits he couldn't find a single record of that style ever being used in the city. Maya Oyu dismisses the man, her mind already elsewhere. The masked man performs a deep bow before vanishing into the night. Maya Oyu muses that if the technique is unknown, the boy must have a very special master. The moon hangs high over the silent buildings. She lies back, whispering to herself about a child of Tao. A fish swims through the dark waters of a pond nearby. Back at the academy, Master Dong attempts a soul search on a captured enemy. The students watch as the master tries to extract intelligence about the group mission. But the soul is completely shattered, leaving behind no memories to read. Fang Helling notes that the level of preparation suggests a very powerful organization. Master Dong cuts him off and asks Zhang for the specific results from Tangsh Town. Zhang reports that they found 3 demon cultivators and that Jiang Wang killed one by himself. Master Dong is genuinely impressed by the junior's growth. Jiang Wang remains humble, saying he only won because the demon was focused on his senior. Master Dong dismisses them, awarding each student 5 Tao merits for completing the mission. Jiang Wang walks with Zhang Linquan and other students, discussing the meager 5-point reward for their mission. Determined to learn more about the academy's hierarchy, he makes his way to the towering Tao Merit Hall. He enters the hall alone, the weight of the institution's history hanging in the air. The interior is quiet and grand, a place where achievements are recorded in stone and spirit. Standing before the central display, Jiang Wang commands the merit list to reveal itself. A colossal golden scroll of light unfurls, showcasing the names of those who have earned the most merit for the city. He scans the ranks, finding Zhang Linquan impressively situated in 3rd place with 700 points. Just above his senior is Wei Yan, a cultivator from outside the academy who holds the 2nd place spot. Jiang Wang's eyes drift to the pinnacle of the list, curious about the person who stands above them all. He is shocked to see Zuo Guanglie in 1st place with 1,300 points, a score that dwarfs everyone else. He reflects on the legend of Zuo Guanglie, an elusive elite student whose strength is said to be on par with the academy's deans.